Discover the incredible transformation, 5 heartwarming stories of cities rising from hidden ruins. In the heart of Rusty Hills, Emma Hart stood at the door of her diner, watching the sun dip below the horizon, casting a golden glow over the abandoned storefronts. Once, this place buzzed with laughter and love, families crowding around tables, sharing fries and stories. Now, only echoes remained. She could almost hear the laughter of her children mingling with the voices of friends who had long since moved away, leaving behind broken dreams like shattered glass on an empty street. Her heart ached for the town she knew, a town full of life and dreams snuffed out by despair. Determined, Emma wiped her tears and pushed herself to act. This was more than just a diner, it was a piece of her heart. As she gathered the few remaining townsfolk for a meeting that night, she could feel a fire igniting within her, a flicker of hope against the overwhelming darkness. We can turn this around. We have a chance to bring Rusty Hills back to life, she declared, the words rolling off her tongue with a mix of desperation and determination. Yet, as the townsfolk whispered among themselves, laughter erupted. "Are you kidding? This place is done for," sneered Tom, a longtime resident who had lost faith long ago. Emma's spirit wavered, but she pressed on, painting pictures of the town's rich past, the library where children once devoured books, the warm bakery on the corner filled with the scent of fresh bread. She saw glimmers of recognition in their eyes, a nostalgia that sparked something in the dimly lit room. "Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen." Now let us continue. As Emma laid out her ideas for community gardens and events at the old train station, the room filled with emotion, a heartbeat that shook the very walls of the diner. But back home, tension simmered. Mark slammed doors, frustration radiating from him like heat. "You've lost your mind, Em. Look around. Everyone is leaving." The weight of her responsibilities bore down on her, a tightness in her chest, but she whispered back, "I can't give up. Our kids need this place to thrive." She became determined, sifting through files to preserve the town's legacy, but then she learned of a planned demolition of the old train station. The very symbol of their shared history. Anger bubbled within her as she confronted the town officials about this loss, her hands trembling, passion flaring. "This is not just a building, it's our heart. But what if it cost her family, her unity?" The adrenaline coursed through her, a surge of necessary chaos against an indifferent system, yet hope bloomed unexpectedly, fueled by a retired teacher who shared her vision of community gardens and kids eager to replant pathways of laughter. They all blurred in Emma's mind, hushed breaths and fiery speeches filling her spirit. But as the struggle led to deeper divides, one question loomed: could a woman hold together a town stitched ragged by years of hardship? Emma stood before her community, her family's doubts circling like vultures, and realized that love and solidarity could be stronger than the scars of the past. As she caught the glimmer of determination in their eyes, she wondered, could their bonds withstand the trials ahead? Would love be enough for Rusty Hills to rise again, or were they destined to vanish beneath the ruins? The next morning, Emma woke with the sun, its light spilling through the diner windows like warm syrup. She poured a cup of coffee, the rich aroma comforting her fractured thoughts. Today was going to be different. She had sensed a shift during last night's meeting, something was stirring within the people of Rusty Hills. They weren't ready to give up just yet. Stepping outside, Emma greeted familiar faces. Sheila, who used to run the bakery, sat on her porch, knitting a bright scarf, her fingers dancing over the yarn. "Did you hear about the old park getting a cleanup day?" Sheila called out, her smile warm but hesitant. "Maybe we could use those volunteers to start with our garden idea?" Emma's heart lifted. "Absolutely. And if we get enough people, we can even plant a tree for every family that once called this place home." Sheila's eyes sparkled, and Emma felt hope bubbling up again. Maybe it was time to show everyone the power of togetherness. As she moved through the small town, she touched base with neighbors, sparking whispered discussions. The retired teacher, Mrs. Thompson, jumped on board eagerly, bringing ideas for workshops to teach kids about planting and caring for the earth. "Let us bring back the library buzz," she said. Books, plants, and friendship all tied together. The more Emma spoke, the more enthusiasm spread. Each time someone agreed to help, it felt like they were reclaiming parts of what they had lost. But as she was caught up in this whirlwind of activity, doubt gnawed at her. Was she really just imagining all of it? Back at the diner, Mark sat at a booth, face buried in his phone. The evening spent poring over plans appeared to have only deepened the cracks in their relationship. He looked up, skepticism etched across his features. "You think these little cleanups will actually make a difference? What happens when the dust settles? We could be left worse off." "Mark, it's more than cleaning. It's about rebuilding, about hope." Emma shot back, her voice firm but weary. "It's giving our kids a reason to stay, to believe in this town again." He didn't respond, but she could see the conflict in his eyes. Neither of them wanted to end up where Rusty Hills had been, yet they were treading a fine line raised by the fragility of dreams. Determined to sway him, Emma suggested they take a walk to the park themselves. She yearned for him to see what she felt, the pulse of a community waiting to awaken. As they strolled hand in hand, the air thick with anticipation, she spotted a hand-painted sign dangling from an old lamppost: "First Annual Rusty Hills Cleanup Day, let us make our town shine." The sight brought tears to her eyes. It wasn't only the sign but the effort of a very different kind of community coming alive. Yet, just as joy bubbled up, a small voice at the back of her mind whispered of the train station, the fight still looming ahead. "Do you really think we can pull this off?" Mark asked, glancing at her as if searching for a hint of weakness. Emma took a breath, clutching his hand tightly. "I believe we can if we do it together." But even as she spoke those words, an unsettling thought danced in the back of her head. What if this was all a fragile illusion, built on good intentions and false hopes? As they reached the park, laughter erupted from a small gathering of children playing near the old swings. It was a vivid contrast to the dilapidation that surrounding them. Emma looked at Mark and felt the swell of possibilities rise again. Maybe this was just the beginning. But there was still that question hanging heavily in the air. Could a flicker of hope truly ignite a flame strong enough to turn the tide? When Emma and Mark turned back towards home, she sensed that a storm was brewing not just outside, but within their hearts. Would love stand firm against the tempest of despair that had defined Rusty Hills? As the sun dipped lower in the sky, painting it in cascading shades of orange and pink, Emma found herself standing at the edge of the park, feeling the weight of change settle on her shoulders. Mark's hand was still warm in hers, but she sensed the distance creeping back in, a chilling reminder of their unspoken fears. "We should really gather everyone," she said, attempting to bridge the silence. "This can become bigger than we imagined." He nodded slowly, but his eyes remained clouded. "Okay, but when it doesn't go as planned, I don't want to see you crushed." Those words hung heavy in the air, a stark reminder of the vulnerability she felt. Emma took a breath. What if it goes better than we ever dreamed? What if it brings everyone back together? Mark sighed and looked towards the children, their laughter echoing like bells through the park. "I want that too, Em, but right now it feels like we're standing on quicksand." "Then we build something solid," she urged, passion leaking into her voice. "We need to kick off the cleanup day the right way. Let us invite everyone, those who have moved away, the ones who lost faith. Let us throw a huge barbecue and get people excited." At the mention of a barbecue, a flicker of something, maybe hope, broke through Mark's skepticism. "You really think we could get them to come?" "Absolutely. People love food and community. We just need to show them that Rusty Hills still has a heartbeat. Emma squeezed his hand tighter, willing him to feel the surge of energy flowing through her. That night, Emma stood in front of her vision board, a collection of photos, quotes, and sketches, her heart beating wildly. She started typing a message to the entire town, detailing their ideas for the cleanup day and the barbecue. Each keystroke felt like a step into a brighter future, blooming with possibilities, but in the quiet moments that followed, doubts crept in again. What if they didn't show up? What if the past swallowed them whole, just like before? She couldn't help but replay all the people who had once loved Rusty Hills, the laughter, the warmth, the stories shared over coffee at the diner. They had invested their lives here. Wouldn't they want to come back? The next morning, with the sun rising bright and hopeful, Emma ventured out on a mission. She printed flyers and decided to hang them around town, her heart racing at the thoughts of new faces becoming familiar again. On her way, she passed the abandoned shop fronts, each telling a tale of its own. She felt the ghosts of what had been brushed against her, echoes of laughter, the clatter of cups, and stories that bubbled over the counter. Every conversation sparked a new connection, longer than the last. Sheila was on board, Mrs. Thompson was organizing books, and even young families were beginning to express interest. Each enthusiastic nod felt like a tiny victory, stitching the fabric of the community back together piece by piece. As she returned home, arms laden with returning enthusiasm, Emma glanced at the diner. Mark sat at their usual booth, a frown still etched on his face, distant despite how close he was. "What did you find out?" he asked, concern creeping into his voice. Emma smiled, holding out the flyer. "They're coming, Mark. I can feel it. We can make it happen." But as she spoke those words, the hesitation in Mark's eyes only deepened. "What if your optimism blinds you, Em? What happens when the reality crashes down?" Each word pierced through her like ice. Did he truly think she was being naive? The aching in her chest tightened, but she forced a smile, willing herself not to fall apart. "We just have to keep believing." Just then, a blast of laughter came from outside. Children played wildly, their uninhibited joy filling the air with a sense of freedom Emma couldn't ignore. She took a deep breath, resolute in her mission. "I'll fight for this, Mark. For us. Together." But as the shadows of doubt loomed beside her, she realized they might be facing more than just the changing dynamics of the town. Was their love strong enough to endure potential heartaches, or would her hope become the very chasm that pulled them apart? What lay ahead was uncertain, but Emma knew they needed to face it head-on. With her heart racing, she turned to Mark, ready to challenge the storm brewing between them. "Let us decide, right here, right now. Are you with me?" The question hung in the air, waiting for an answer that could change everything. For a moment, silence engulfed them, thick and suffocating. Emma's heart thundered in her chest as she searched Mark's face, desperately seeking reassurance. "I need you, Mark," she urged. "This town needs you." Mark finally met her gaze, and she could see the storm of emotions swirling behind his eyes. "It's not that simple, Em. I want to support you, but what?" Emma pressed, her voice rising slightly in frustration. "We can't sit here and let fear win. Not again." He rubbed his temples, as if trying to push away the doubts crowding his mind. "What if everyone thinks our efforts are foolish? What if they come and nothing changes?" Emma felt a rush of anger at the negativity, but deeper down, she understood his fears. "They won because they need this as much as we do." She stepped closer, closing the distance between them. "And I won't let you back away now." For the first time, a flicker of something resembling hope danced across Mark's features. "Okay, let us say I'm on board. What's our first step?" A wave of relief washed over her, and she grabbed his hand again. "We start by organizing a planning session. We need a solid team to make this barbecue successful." "Fine," he relented, a ghost of a smile slipping through. But this is your dream, Em. I'm just a helping hand. No, she countered fiercely, this can only work if we do it together. You're just as important as I am in this. With a tentative nod, Mark seemed to acknowledge her words. They finished their coffees in silence, the bustle of the diner swirling around them while the weight of their decision hung heavy. Emma's mind raced with the possibilities. She imagined the delicious smell of grilling burgers, kids running around, laughter billowing like the summer breeze. But just as quickly, images of empty seats and disappointed faces flashed in her mind. Would the townspeople come back? Could she translate this flicker of hope into something real? After they finished, Emma felt the gentle sting of the crisp spring air as she stepped outside. The town felt alive and vibrant, despite the struggles it had seen. Each step she took on the cracked pavement fueled her determination. She could feel it deep in her bones. It was time to breathe life back into Rusty Hills. They spent the weekend reaching out to friends, neighbors, and former residents. Emma's excitement was contagious, infecting even the most reluctant. Gradually, her phone buzzed with confirmations. From old schoolmates to families looking for a reason to come back, they all found their way into her fervent plans. Saturday dawned with clear blue skies, and Emma awoke with unshakable anticipation. She grabbed her notebook, more plans spilling onto the pages. Let's set up games for the kids, maybe a talent show. She whispered excitedly to herself, but as she prepared for the day ahead, a troubling thought snaked through her mind. What if this day wasn't the fresh start she envisioned? What if it just served to remind everyone of what they'd lost? The weight of the unknown pressed on her chest, matching the heaviness of her hopeful dreams. In the afternoon, Emma set up tables in the park, the smells of barbecue drifting through the air filling her with a sense of purpose. People began to arrive, some with smiles, others with guarded expressions. Emotions flickered everywhere: hope, doubt, nostalgia, and a yearning for connection, but when she spotted Mark's hesitant glance from across the park, her heart sank. Would they really make it through, or was this just a beautiful mess waiting to unravel? As the sun began to set, painting the sky anew, Emma took a deep breath and stepped forward, ready to welcome everyone back. But suddenly, a familiar face materialized at the edge of the crowd, a face she hadn't seen in years. Would this unexpected visitor change everything, or would it upend what Emma had worked so hard to build? Emma's heart raced as she squinted through the warm dusk light, her mind racing to compute the identity of the figure standing at the edge of the gathering. It was Jake, her childhood friend and first crush, the one who left Rusty Hills without a word, leaving behind a swirl of unanswered questions. The last time she saw him, he had been full of dreams that pulled him far away. Now, his presence felt like a ghost from the past, stirring memories she thought she had tucked away. The summer air buzzed with chatter and laughter, but to Emma, everything faded as Jake took a tentative step forward. He looked different, yet unmistakably the same. His hair was slightly tousled, and there was a trace of sadness in his eyes that hadn't been there before. A mixture of anxiety and excitement churned inside her. What was he doing back? Emma, he called out, his voice calm but carrying an undercurrent of something deeper. The crowd grew subdued for just a moment, curious eyes swinging toward their reunion. She took a deep breath, hesitating. Jake, she replied, trying to find her footing amidst the whirlwind of emotions. I didn't expect to see you here. I heard about what you were doing. I needed to see it. For myself, he said, glancing around at the makeshift gathering. Emma could feel her heart tighten. We're trying to bring everyone together again, she managed, her voice steady despite the rush of memories flooding back. To remind them that Rusty Hills is still home. Jake nodded, his eyes searching hers as if trying to read her thoughts. It looks amazing. I can't believe you pulled this together. Mark, standing a few feet away, observed the interaction, his expression uncertain. Emma quickly turned her attention back to Jake. What brought you back? He shifted on his feet, the weight of unspoken words lingering in the air. The crowd buzzed behind them, but in this moment, it felt as if they were the only two people in the park. I made some mistakes when I left, he finally said, his voice low. I thought I had to go, that moving away was for the best. But now, I see just how much I missed this place. And you? Her stomach flipped. You could have reached out. We all wondered what happened to you. I know, he replied, his voice thick with regret. I wish I had. I regret not being here when things got tough. Emma felt a swell of emotions, anger mixed with a longing she had buried for years. Part of her wanted to scold him, to demand answers. But the other part, a softer, more vulnerable side, yearned for the connection they once shared. Just then, a loud pop broke the moment as someone in the crowd let loose a burst of excitement. Laughter erupted, and the atmosphere shifted again, pulling her back into the reality of the present. She felt the gaze of the crowd pinning her between memories and the promise of new beginnings. Emma. Are you going to introduce us? Mark's teasing voice danced through her thoughts, snapping her back to the gathering. Jake's presence was both a comfort and a complication, and Emma wasn't sure how to feel about either. Everyone, this is Jake. He's an old friend. A few familiar faces turned to greet him, and slowly, the tension in the air began to dissipate. Somehow, they were all connected again, like the threads of a tapestry slowly being woven back together. As the evening progressed, laughter filled the park, and Emma found herself stealing glances at Jake. He laughed easily with her friends, fitting in as if he had never left. Yet, a nagging thought pulled at the edges of her excitement. Could their reunion really mean something after all these years? Was this the start of healing or just another twist in a story filled with heartaches? As fireworks lit the night sky, Emma caught Jake's eye. They smiled, sharing a moment that felt heavy with potential and unspoken words. The firework booms echoed a question in her heart: could they turn these flickering sparks into something real? And just as she began to imagine what that might look like, she noticed the change in Mark's expression, an intensity brewing as he watched her and Jake from across the park, uncertainty written all over his face. What would happen if he decided to confront her about this? Would the fragile threads they were weaving fray before they even had a chance to be sewn into a story of hope? Emma felt the world around her dim along with the fireworks, as if the illuminated night sky took a moment to breathe. She could sense Mark's gaze, sharp and questioning, just beyond the laughter and chatter. The weight of the unspoken was heavy, a sense of urgency pulsed in her veins. Why did it feel like the air had shifted? Jake, oblivious to the tension swelling in her chest, continued chatting with some friends. They laughed and recounted old stories, conjuring the past with each word. But every laugh pulled Emma deeper into uncertainty. They had shared a bond so profound, one Jake had shattered by leaving. Could he really rekindle what had been lost? Or was it all just an illusion, built on nostalgia? Emma's thoughts whirled. She glanced at Mark, his expression now unreadable, and felt a pang of guilt rise up. Had she crossed a line? Was she betraying him by even entertaining the idea of being close to Jake again? Yet, the spark she felt with Jake was undeniable. It was electric and terrifying, igniting feelings she thought had faded like the last embers of a fire. Can we talk? Mark's voice cut through the thoughts. Emma's heart sank. She turned to face him fully, trying to decipher the tension on his face. Yeah, sure. Let's step aside, she replied, her stomach nodding. They found a quieter spot near an old oak tree that stood sentry at the edge of the park. The muted sounds of celebration faded into the background, though Emma could still feel the pulse of the gathering. Once they were out of earshot, Mark folded his arms, worry etched across his brow. Is everything okay? He asked. There was an intensity in his gaze that made her heart race. Yeah, I think so. She replied, sounding unsure even to herself. Jake just came back. He wants to reconnect, and I don't know how I feel about it. Mark's jaw tightened. Do you want to reconnect with him? After all this time? Emma sighed deeply. I didn't ask for this, Mark. I didn't expect to see him. It just happened. His eyes softened slightly, but she could feel the tension lingering. You've been working so hard to bring everyone together, Em. Are you ready for him to just waltz back in like nothing happened? The questions hung in the air. Was she ready for that? Part of her wanted to scream no, to remind him and herself of the pain that had rippled through her life when Jake left. But another part ached to explore the still buried feelings and the possibility of healing. I'm scared, Mark. Scared that this will open up wounds I've tried to close, but also scared of what could happen if I don't let him back in, she confessed, voice trembling. Mark stepped closer, his expression softening further. You deserve honesty, Emma. Whatever is happening between you and Jake, it shouldn't come at the expense of what we have. His concern prickled her heart. I know and I care about you, Mark. But can't you see? This is complicated. Jake was my first love, and now he's back, wanting to be part of my life again. As she spoke, the fireworks resumed, cascading sparks against the dark sky, illuminating their faces and the emotions tangled between them. Mark shifted, the flickering lights reflecting uncertainty in his eyes. Just promise me you'll think about what you want, okay? This isn't just about him, he said quietly. Emma nodded, torn. But deep down, she could feel the heaviness of the past squeezing her heart. As they continued to discuss, glimmers of laughter and voices filled the space around them, yet Emma's thoughts remained restless. She couldn't go back to how things were, and yet she felt drawn to see where this could lead. Just then, Jake approached, breaking the momentary bubble they had created. Hey, you two. Everything all right? His smile lit up the space, but the way Mark's body stiffened at Jake's arrival didn't go unnoticed. Emma felt the ambience change again, and the laughter from the crowd seemed to fade. Yeah, we were just talking, Emma replied, her heart pounding as she glanced between the two men in her life. With nerves fluttering, she realized she stood at a precipice, with uncertain choices stretching far below her. What would she choose next? And with that thought, a sudden wave of exhilaration and dread washed over her. Would reconnecting with Jake show her the healing she craved, or would it plunge her deeper into chaos? The moment Jake stepped closer, the air thickened with unspoken tension. Emma could feel the weight of Mark's gaze, steady and watchful, but Jake's presence sent a fresh wave of memories crashing over her. He looked the same, yet somehow different, older, wiser, but beneath it all, she recognized the glint of mischief that had once drawn her to him. Good to see you, Em. Jake exclaimed, his grin wide. Her heart responded immediately, fluttering as it recalled simpler times, blissful in their naivety. Did she want to reopen that chapter? Hey, Jake, she replied, her tone attempting nonchalance but betraying her with a slight tremor. It's a surprise, you know. Yeah, I figured. He chuckled, but there was an edge of vulnerability in his laughter. I wasn't sure if you'd even want to see me again. Why wouldn't I? She asked, forcing a smile, though her insides twisted at the question. Mark interjected, his voice low but firm. It's not that simple, Jake. Emma turned to Mark, dismay written on her face. She wanted to scream at him to just relax, to give her space to breathe. Instead, she felt like a little girl trapped between two grown-ups. Mark, please, she whispered, pleading with both men through her strained expression. Jake's brows furrowed. What is going on? Did I miss something? Emma could feel the shift in the mood like a blanket tightening around them. She wanted to clear the air, to explain everything, but how could she untangle the mess of emotions swirling inside her? It's just a lot of feelings and history involved, okay? Feeling trapped, she glanced up at the magnificent bursts of fireworks coruscating in the sky. Each explosion reminded her of lit moments now muddied by confusion. And I know that better than anyone, Jake said, his voice softer, more cautious. I've thought about you a lot, Em. I didn't mean to hurt you when I left. A sharp pang hit her heart, ripping through decades of hurt and longing. She had waited years to hear that, yet somehow, hearing it now felt skewed. "You don't get to just explain things away, Jake," she said, her voice shaking. "You left without a word. I moved on. I thought I was over it." "Maybe you are," Mark interjected quietly, his eyes darting between them. "But now he's back, and it's making things complicated." Jake took a step closer, his blue eyes locked on hers, earnest and pleading. "But Emma, I'm back because I want to fix things. If you'll let me in, I promise I won't walk away again." That's when Emma realized the choice wasn't between her past and present, it was about what she wanted for her future. The fireworks show reached a fever pitch, bursting with dazzling colors that lit their small circle. As the laughter echoed around them, Emma felt herself lost in the chaos, torn between two lives, her old life with Jake and her new path with Mark. "I don't know what to say," she whispered, the weight of the moment almost crushing. "I don't want to hurt anyone, but I can't pretend nothing matters." Jake's hopeful expression wavered, and for the first time, Emma sensed fear in his gaze. The fear of losing her all over again, or perhaps the fear of what he was asking for. Mark's voice broke through the din, softer now, filled with an understanding that made her heart ache. "We'll figure this out together. Just don't ignore how you truly feel." The night blurred around her. Friends continued to celebrate, unaware of the storm surrounding Emma's heart. There she stood, trapped in a whirlwind of choices and emotions, held captive by nostalgia and dreams yet to be realized. With everything swirling inside her, Emma took a deep breath. "I need time to think. I don't want to make any rash decisions." As she spoke, a deep rumble echoed from the sky, and a final firework exploded, an unscripted climax to an already charged night. "Will you give me that time?" she asked, looking into the eyes of both men, one simmering with hope and the other brimming with concern. And as she waited for their responses, Emma realized an unmistakable truth: time would reveal not just her answer, but who she truly wanted to be. In this unpredictable narrative of love and loss. But as the last fireworks faded into the night, a new voice in the back of her mind whispered, could she really afford to wait? What if waiting meant losing everything? The silence that followed Emma's request hung between them like the smoky residue of fireworks drifting away. Jake took a breath, his blue eyes filled with uncertainty, while Mark's expression tightened, as if bracing for a storm. Emma's heart raced. She had never felt so painfully aware of the fragility of her situation. "Of course, take all the time you need," Jake finally murmured, his voice strained. He wanted to assure her, but the doubt flickered in his eyes. Emma knew this wasn't just about her. It was about him, too, about the years lost and the possibility of reclaiming what they once had. Mark nodded, though she could see the concern etched in his features. "We'll support whatever you decide, Em," he added, his voice steady. "But don't bury your feelings. It's okay to be honest." Emma shifted her gaze between them, trapped in their expectations as her insides churned. She felt exposed, as if each piece of her heart was laid bare for them to judge. She plastered on a smile, a desperate effort to lighten the mood. "Thanks, guys. Really. I need to think about everything." She stepped back, retreating from their magnetic pull. Everyone else around them continued to celebrate, immersed in simple pleasures and laughter. Emma's heart ached with a profound sense of isolation. She loved them both, but in entirely different ways, and the weight of that love felt almost unbearable. Just beyond the crowd, where the glow of the fireworks had begun to fade, she found a small quiet corner. The stars shone brightly against the deep navy sky, and she took a moment to breathe, clear her head. The crisp air felt refreshing, nudging her to reflect on what she truly wanted. Thoughts of her childhood with Jake flooded back. The warmth of sunshine on their skin, running through grassy fields, secrets shared behind the old oak tree, and that first kiss that had sparked something deep inside. Then, there was Mark, the steady hand guiding her through her recent struggles, the soft laugh that eased her burdens, the promise of a future she dared to dream of. As she leaned against the cool stone wall, Emma felt the tug-of-war within her escalate. Every memory with Jake was a reminder of the innocence she craved, yet every moment with Mark rooted her firmly in the present and the stability he brought into her life. She felt torn, a double-edged sword that could either lead her back to a love long lost or pave the way toward a future full of promise. "Hey, Em," Jake called softly, stepping into her view. The way he said her name sent a shiver down her spine. This was the man who left her, yet the gleam of his ambition, that flicker she had missed for so long, reignited something deep within her. "Are you okay?" His concern pulled her from her thoughts. "Yeah, I'm just trying to process everything," she admitted, allowing a sliver of vulnerability to break through. "I know it's a lot. I don't want to rush you, but I need you to know that I'm here," he said, stepping closer but not so close as to invade her space. "Whatever you decide," he paused, searching her face. "I want a chance to show you that I've changed." Those words hung in the air, heavy and powerful. It felt like a promise laced with a plea. Was it possible he was sincere this time? "Emma, you have so much to think about. But remember, your happiness matters most." Mark's voice joined them, soft yet resolute as he stood a few steps behind Jake. In that moment, Emma's gaze shifted back and forth between them, a realization dawning like the first rays of sunlight after a long night. This wasn't just about choosing between them, it was about rediscovering herself amidst the chaos of love and heartache. With a breath, she found her voice again. "I just don't want to hurt anyone, but I need to feel what's right for me." Her heart raced again, the road before her twisted and turned with uncertainty. Emma's eyes shimmered with unrestrained emotion as she considered the weight of her decision, wondering if she could truly find peace in the middle ground or if she would be forever haunted by what-ifs. The night felt heavy with potential. Just as she opened her mouth to speak again, a chill ran down her spine at an unexpected sound, a loud crash behind her, drawing both men's attention away. Her heart lurched. What had just happened? "Stay here," Jake urged, watching her closely. "We'll check it out." Emma nodded but couldn't shake the feeling that her peace was about to shatter once more. The moment spiraled back into chaos. And as she stepped toward the commotion, one thought consumed her: would this chaotic turn lead to her answers, or push her further from the love she so desperately sought? Emma stood frozen as Jake and Mark darted toward the source of the noise. With adrenaline pumping, she shifted her weight from one foot to the other, unable to shake the feeling that something important lay just beyond the edge of the crowd. The party's energy shifted in an instant, laughter faded into whispers of concern. Emma's instincts kicked in, forcing her to calm herself, to think rationally. She glanced around, hoping to catch a glimpse of what had happened. Shadows danced ominously against the backdrop of twinkling lights, and the palpable tension made her skin crawl. Just then, she spotted a group of people gathered near the edge of the celebration, pointing and murmuring anxiously. Curiosity tugged at her but fear rooted her in place. What if it was something serious? What if someone was hurt? Mark called, and she shifted her attention back to him. He stood with Jake, who looked pale, his normally vibrant blue eyes clouded with worry. They waved her over urgently. The question nagged at her with their focus on the situation in front of them: what would she find if she followed? She took a deep breath and pushed through the crowd, heart racing, her mind swirling with earlier thoughts of love and choice. The closer she got, the clearer the scene became. A fallen tent, its poles bent, lay crumpled over a small circle of people. Emma's gut twisted. "Is everyone okay?" She shouted over the growing murmurs, edging forward. A few heads turned, and she saw a familiar face, the sarcastic grin of Billy, the bartender from the local pub. His cheek was scraped, and he winced as he pushed himself to stand. "Just a little mishap. My bad." He chuckled, easing the concern slightly. Relief flooded through Emma. He would be fine. But the flash of danger, an unexpected reminder that life could turn in an instant, lingered in her mind. She turned to find Jake and Mark's eyes focused on her, drawn not just by her voice but by an intensity of feeling that pulsed in the air between them. "You scared me," Jake said, his voice softer but still marked by anxiety. "I didn't want you out here alone." Mark stepped closer, brows furrowed. "What if it had been worse? You should have stayed where it was safe." Emma felt a warm wash of gratitude but also a twinge of annoyance. "I would have stayed if I thought it was serious. It's just a fallen tent. I can take care of myself," she replied, a spark igniting within her. For a moment, their gazes held hers, and in that electric moment, Emma realized that both of them cared deeply. Their worry mirrored the depths of their feelings for her. Questions swirled the tension unresolved as she struggled to navigate her heart's path, but even with the urgency of the situation now eased, the underlying emotions hadn't faded. Uncertainty resumed its haunting pull. How could she sort through her emotions amidst the chaos surrounding them? "What about you, Emma?" Jake finally asked, breaking through her thoughts. "Are you okay?" The question lingered in the air, heavy with expectation. For the first time tonight, she saw the weight of her choices reflected in their eyes. The possibilities stretched out before her like the vast sky, and she understood that this incredible moment was only a sliver of what lay ahead. "I'm fine. I need time. I just need time to think," she managed, feeling the tidal wave of emotion behind her words. "Then let us go for a walk," Mark said gently, a hint of hope threading through his tone. "We can talk. Just the three of us." As Emma nodded, a flicker of nervous excitement danced in her chest. Because deep down, she felt it a yearning for clarity, for confrontation with her fear of choices. Would she find the answers she desperately needed? She fell into step with them, leaving the chaos behind. The night breeze wrapped around them as they stepped into the darker part of the park, away from the fading sounds of celebration. And as they walked, she couldn't shake the feeling that this moment was about more than just the three of them. It was the calm before another storm, the kind that could tear apart lives or bring them all closer together. "Emma," Jake began, his voice low and filled with intensity. "There's something we need to talk about." Her heart raced with anticipation. What awaited them? Would this be the moment that changed everything? The cool night air wrapped around Emma as she walked with Mark and Jake. The sounds of laughter faded behind them, leaving a heavy silence that was filled with unspoken thoughts and emotions. As they stepped into the shadows cast by the park trees, her heart raced. She could feel the weight of their expectations pressing on her, thick and heavy. "Listen, Emma," Jake began, hesitating as if the words had been caught in his throat. "I know things are complicated, but I came back because I've realized what truly matters. I need to be honest about my feelings for you." Mark shifted beside her, his gaze flicking to Jake, protective and alert. Emma bit her lip, uncertain. Did she really want to dive headfirst into this emotional whirlpool? "Jake," she started, but Mark interjected before she could finish. "Before we go down that road, I think we all need to lay our cards on the table," he said, his voice steady. "Emma, you're at a crossroads. You're allowed to explore these feelings, but I want you to know how far I would go for you." Emma held her breath. The sincerity in Mark's eyes shook her. "Mark," she faltered again, the words scrambling within her. "Emma, please," Jake urged, stepping closer. "All I want is a chance to show you that I've changed. I know I let you down before, but I want to be a part of your life again. This town, it feels like home when I'm around you." "I appreciate that, Jake. I really do," Emma replied softly, her heart pounding. "But things aren't as simple as they used to be." Mark's expression hardened slightly. "It's true, Em. You don't have to rush into anything. We have history, but we also have potential together." An awkward silence fell. Emma looked back and forth between them, feeling the intensity of their feelings wash over her in waves. The air crackled, and with every heartbeat, she felt the noose of decision tighten around her throat. "Can you both give me a second?" she finally asked, her voice small. They exchanged concerned glances but nodded. Finding a nearby bench, she sat down, heart racing, desperately seeking clarity. Gazing up at the stars, she took deep breaths, reminded of the peace that once filled Rusty Hills before all this chaos took root. What did she really want? The laughter of her friends and the spark of possibility with Jake ignited something deep within her. But standing beside Mark had brought her a sense of stability she craved in these turbulent times. She felt torn, suspended between two lives. Could she embrace the past without losing the future she had started to build? In that moment of introspection, Emma felt the pull of the community around her, the laughter, the love, the warmth of Rusty Hills that had always been there, waiting for her. She envisioned the garden blooming, the kids playing, and the bakery filled with the scent of cookies once again. Suddenly, the solution flickered to life within her. She didn't have to choose just one path. Maybe it wasn't about choosing at all. Taking another breath and standing tall, Emma returned to Mark and Jake, their worried faces instantly pivoting towards her. "I've thought about it," she said, her voice steady and clear. "And what I want is a chance to explore this together. The three of us." Both men froze, eyes wide. "What?" Jake asked, shock written across his features. Mark glanced at her, his expression vulnerable but curious. "Are you sure?" "Yes," she affirmed. "It won't be easy, and it will require honesty and communication, but I don't want to rush into anything. I want to give all of us a fair chance." Both men shared a look, the tension shifting as understanding dawned. Each took a moment to process what Emma was suggesting. "Okay," Jake replied slowly, a smile breaking through the initial shock. "As long as we're open with each other." Mark nodded, a slight grin forming. "I can agree to that. It's not about rushing, but about building something solid. And if we stumble, we figure it out together." Emma felt a wave of relief wash over her. They could forge ahead without suppressing any of their feelings, they could find a way to build that bridge together. The tension dissolved, and laughter bubbled up as they began to talk and share memories of their time growing up in Rusty Hills. With each story, each shared laugh, Emma felt lighter. The past wouldn't define them, rather, it would be a part of a rich tapestry they now wove going forward. As they walked back toward the park, a renewed sense of hope pulsed within Emma. Rusty Hills needed love and resilience, and so did she. Underneath that night sky, in the heart of her community, Emma knew this was just the beginning. They had a long road ahead, but she felt ready to embrace every twist and turn together, and in that moment, she realized love wasn't about avoiding risk, it was about taking the leap together. Now, it's your turn. You need to subscribe immediately to the channel to not miss the next exclusive stories. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm and show your support. Comment below with your reactions and feelings about this ending. And don't wait not even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. Let us spread the love.